we're just going to keep doing it, aren't we? We're going to keep making the same stupid economic arguments, and people are going to keep on believing it because jealousy is easier to sell than economic reality. Let's have a listen. You might have heard this all before.
You've been lied to. We did tax the rich. We taxed them hard, actually, up to 94%. And no, it didn't kill the economy. It literally saved it. So why doesn't anyone talk about that? Because billionaires don't.
As always, we start this conversation with billionaires. That's where we start it. That's never where it ends. The people that they tax keeps growing. It starts with billionaires, though, because I'm trying to take you to a place, and I can't get you there unless you get you spun up with a buzzword like billionaires. There's this small group of evil people hoarding all the wealth, and that's what's keeping you poor.
I don't want you to know that it actually worked. Every time you talk about taxing the rich, there's always the people that say the same things. That's not fair.
It's not.
They'll just leave.
They will.
Earned it. This
They
won't
did.
fix anything. It'll just
It won't.
hurt jobs.
It will.
But the truth is, we've already tested this. We taxed the rich hard.
Here we go.
Built the most prosperous
Here it
era
comes.
in U.S. history. Here's exactly what happened. In the 1940s.
In the 1940s. Oh my God. You know, the 1940s. Exactly the same as it is right now. The only difference between what's going on right now in 2025 America and the 1940s is that we're just not taxing the right people at the right rate. That would solve all of our problems. I can't believe it's so hard to sell this to the general population. It's such an easy fix. It's not like the Industrial Revolution changed the very face of how economics functioned in the 1940s, that happened in that period. It's not like the entire manufacturing base of the entire world was decimated after a massive war, leaving the United States as the lone power on the planet, and therefore in a position to do pretty much whatever the hell it wanted, and of course have insane prosperity while everybody else was just trying to dig out of the rubble of World War II. That doesn't have anything to do with it. It's that we tax this small group of people at this dollar amount and this percentage of their income, and that's what made us prosperous. It's none of those other things. None of those other economic factors matter at all. Of course, that's a bunch of bunk. It's a bunch of garbage. We all know that anybody with two brain cells rubbed together knows that that's not true. And the most clear evidence of it is probably the fact that tax as a percent of GDP, which is the amount of revenue the government collects in comparison with the size of our economy, is about within a few percentage points of what it was even back then. You can only tax so much wealth out of the economy. This commenter probably knows that. Most of the people who are following her and liking her and commenting on it probably don't, but it does a lot more good for her to put out a bad piece of content that she knows people will agree with than it does to have an honest conversation about economics. So you hear the same tired trope about, in the 1940s, this tax rate on the richest people is what grew the American middle class and blah, blah. It's not true at all. The other thing is we go through a bunch of stuff where if we taxed, this is always what they go, we could do all these other super expensive things, right? We could afford free healthcare, free college, everything. It's a utopia. All we have to do is tax this small group of people and it'll be a utopia. When we point out that we're running almost $2 trillion deficits, even if you got your wet dream of all these different new taxes, you're not going to raise enough to pay for any of this stuff, let alone balance, even come close to balancing the budget. They go, well, yeah, but the real reason you raise the taxes like that is so that they'll invest back in their companies instead of doing stock buybacks and the other stuff. Well, okay, hold on a second. Is it one or is it the other? Because it can't be both. Second, why would I invest more in my business and grow it and expose myself to more risk and have more work to do, a bigger company, all the additional liabilities and works and stuff like that comes along with it? Why would I do all that if I'm not going to get to keep the money? There's no reason for me to invest more. I'm just going to stop growing. And it will stagnate, and businesses will die, and it will hurt the middle class, and it will affect jobs. You can't just tax hundreds of billions of dollars out of the economy every year and expect that not to have a negative impact on economic growth, which means a negative impact on GDP, which means a negative impact on jobs. Those are economic realities. And I'm sorry that it's uncomfortable for you. I'm sorry that you look at how wealthy some people are and it makes you sick and you're jealous and you're angry. But I'm going to leave you with one last thing. The other thing about the 1940s is we live better in virtually every single way than they did back then. And the bottom 50% of earners in the United States right now, the bottom 50% have about, inflation adjusted, actually have a little bit more wealth than they did then. We're richer now, but we live a much more expensive life. So if it feels like you're living paycheck to paycheck and you want to blame the billionaires, compare how your grandparents or your great-grandparents lived, the houses that they owned and the cars that they drove and all those different things to your life. And remember that you are living you're living a life of an incredibly wealthy person in the 1940s today as just a regular American. We don't talk about any of those things because that's not convenient. That's not clicks, likes, and views. And that's the problem. And they would rather peddle this economic nonsense to you for no other reason than to grow their following than to actually sit down and have an honest conversation about economics. And that is sad.